Hey, Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro members, we're back. Sorry about the 5-6 weeks that we did not have a report. Was boatless for a while. The weather sucked for a while. Got the new boat and had to rig it. Had some family stuff going on, had to deal with. So was not on the water as much as I want to be, rather than just sit down and make some crap up that I think would work. I waited till I had some time on the water to make sure I was giving you guys some good, real information to help you guys catch more fish on Table Rock. It is February 20th. Bite has been really good, guys. Surprisingly good for February. I think it's the weather more than anything else. Lake level is at 913.26, so about 1.75 feet below normal pool. Core's been running a little bit every day, but not really trying to drain the lake down. I think they're trying to meet power demands, keep the trout alive, or some such nonsense down on Taneycomo. Water temperature is a bigger story for sure. 49 degrees, 50 degrees, pretty much everywhere I went today. Pretty much everywhere I went over the weekend, with the exception of when I went up Long Creek on Sunday, where I got into some stained water and I was seeing 52, 53, even with how cold and windy it had been over the weekend. That water still was in the low 50s. So that's really, I think, what's got these fish moved up. That's got these fish biting. It's got things happening here on the lake. And of course, you guys know, being pro members, we've had some reports. We've had not as many as I'd like to have because I've not been on the water, but we've had quite a few reports from our other contributors, and we're catching fish. Guys are catching fish all over the lake, and I really think it's because the water's warmed up and things are just happening. Things are happening faster. Things are happening sooner than they normally happen in the spring on Table Rock. But if you're coming down, going to fish the lower end of the lake, like I said, I was out of Big Cedar on Sunday. We spent most of the day up Long Creek, and in all honesty, I had a family, and they were from Florida, and they weren't really dressed for it. So I basically hid from the wind all day, because we had pretty good wind, about 10 to 15 mile an hour wind out of the west, northwest, and it was a little chilly, but we did manage to catch several fish. Everything we caught was on a Kitech 2.8 on a 1/4 ounce ball head, and everything was on Main Lake or Main Creek channel swing banks. Basically start at one end of the channel swing, work our way down. I can't stress enough how many fish are holding around timber and brush on these channel swing banks right now. So that's certainly a bite that's working down there. Deep bite. The deep bite is, you can still catch fish deep. If you like to go out and fish deep, if you like to stare at your graph, drop a drop shot, Damiki, or jigging wrap or whatever down there, you can still catch fish doing that. There's still a lot of fish out there. Most of them, that at least I'm fishing for, are a lot shallower than I would normally fish for them this year, anywhere from 25 to about 40. I've not really gone out and looked for them deeper. I know the shad are out there deeper. The shad are out in the main lake, out in the main lake channel, suspended. If you fish around those, I'm not going to bother chasing those guys. Got to be honest with you. If I have to fish deep, or if I'm going to fish deep, I'm going to fish for those ones that are a little bit shallower. So that's another bite that's working on the lower end. And then you can catch them on a crankbait, especially up Long Creek, in the backs of some of the creeks as well that have a little bit of color to them, but you got to have wind. You can catch them on a wiggle wart and a rock crawler right now. Actually, it's a pretty strong bite. Up the creeks where you've got a little bit more color and the water's a little bit warmer, it's obviously a better bite, but you can certainly catch them on a crankbait right now. So if you want to go catch a crankbait, or catch them on a crankbait up the creek, you can do that, and you can catch them on a jig as well. Most of those jig fish, 8 to 15 foot deep, ends of channel swings, usually from that last maybe 50 feet of the channel swing to where it flattens out. If you've got wood, you've got to have some wood cover right now to catch them down there or on a jig. Wood cover is really important for everything right now, but really, if you're not throwing it around brush piles, not throwing it around standing timber, they're not just on barren rock or barren banks. You've got to have some cover to hold those fish if you're going to fish. And I've been catching most of my jig fish on a Pee Wee HD spider jig. So color doesn't really seem to matter that much. I've been throwing touchdown more than anything else, but a lot of fish 8 to 15 foot deep on a jig right now. You go to the mid-lake, and there's a decent bite in the mid-lake too. There's a decent bite all over the lake, so just get used to me saying that. But there's a decent bite in the mid-lake right now. Best bite I've got in the mid-lake by far. And if you want to go fish deep, go fish deep. I ain't going to talk about it. Best spot I've got in the mid-lake right now, if it's windy and a little bit of cloud cover, best bite's on an A-rig. I'm catching them on an A-rig, around brush piles, around standing timber, around boat docks, any sort of cover that I can throw at. I'm catching them under an A-rig. Most of them are pretty shallow too. Most of them are 8 to 20 feet deep. And I mean, they're not suspended 8 to 20. They are over 8 to 20 foot of water. They're up there for a purpose. They're up there feeding. If you don't have wind, switch that up and throw that single Kitech. Throw that Kitech 2.8 on a ball head, and you'll get a lot of bites doing that as well. Same locations, brush piles, standing timber, around docks. There's a lot of fish moving up, staging up, getting ready, even though the spawn's 6-8 weeks away. They're getting ready to move up and spawn. Jig bite is fairly strong in the mid-lake as well. Most of the jig fish I'm catching are in the bigger creeks, Mill Creek, White's Branch, Schooner Creek, some in Cow. Haven't really been in Cow that much, but most of those jig fish are on the ends of those channel swings. When that channel swing stops, you maybe about the last 30 feet of the channel swing, and then where it flattens out, and if it has a little pocket, it's even better. But around timber in there, either around standing timber, stump rows, or brush piles. Again, they're not very deep, 8 to 15, 8 to 20 feet deep. I think the deepest I've caught one on a jig is about 25. So keep that in mind. But the key is right now, and I'm going to say this all over the lake, the key is finding wood cover, whether it be brush piles or standing timber. That's where the majority of the fish I'm catching are coming from. Crankbait bite, I really haven't thrown a crankbait in the mid-lake that much, so I don't have a lot to say about it, but I would imagine if you find an area like the backs of some of these creeks that's got a little bit of stained water in it, and you got some ledgy rock, where you got some channel swing type stuff, you probably put a few, if you've got wind, in a crankbait, or with a crankbait, or with a jerkbait right now, back in the creeks as well. Go up in the James. I was up in the James today. I did not go that far up. I made it up to about 0.12, Ants Creek to about 0.12. Didn't really have to go that far. Everything I caught was around wood, regardless. Everything was around wood. I threw my A-rig a little bit and watched the fish on my forward-facing sonar. They would follow the A-rig. They'd come out of a brush pile. They'd come off of a tree. They'd come off of a stump, and they would follow it, but they would not hit it. They would follow it almost all the way to the boat before they'd turn around and go back to the bottom. Put that down, picked up a 2.8 Kitech on a 1/4 ounce head, threw over top of the same brush piles, caught fish. Threw around the same trees, caught fish. Threw around the same stumps, caught fish. Most of the fish I caught today, less than 30 feet deep. Actually, most of them were less than 20 feet deep. I did catch a few out there a little bit deeper, working a Kitech along the bottom. Basically saw some fish on the bottom in about 25, threw the bait to them, let it sink to the bottom, and just kind of hopped it a couple of times, and I caught 2 or 3 nice spotted bass doing that. So that's an option up there. If you've got wind, crankbait bites good up there, real good. Channel swings on the main lake and in the bigger creeks, you know, in Ants Creek, in Woolly, in Piney. Those bigger creeks up there, get to the ends of the channel swings. If they've got wind on them, now's the time to throw a wiggle wart. Now's the time to throw a rock crawler. Or if you're not a crankbait guy, back off a little bit, throw a jerkbait. Jerkbait bite's pretty strong up there as well. I did not throw a jig that much while I was up there today, but I would imagine if I can catch them on a jig in the Kings, I can catch them in Long Creek, I can catch them anywhere else on the lake, can probably catch them on a jig on the ends of those channel swing banks with the Pee Wee HD football jig, or Pee Wee HD spider jig as well. So I keep that in mind if it's a slow, windless day. If I wouldn't have caught them on a swim bait today, I guarantee I would have pulled out a jig and thrown it around and seen if I could catch some fish, because without any wind, without any cloud cover, those fish were on the bottom 10 to 25 foot deep today. Go up into the White. I was up in the White last week. Last week I was up in the White, and we had a pretty good day. The biggest news I've got from the White was the Kings is stained and the Kings is warm. We saw 55, 56 degrees once we got above Viola in the Kings. It had really good stain. We caught a lot of fish on a jig up there. A lot of fish on the Pee Wee HD spider. Ends of channel swings, especially around wood cover. Wood cover is critically important right now, guys. I'm not 100% sure why, but wood cover is very important, whether it be brush piles, standing timber, laydowns, didn't matter. If there was some wood on the ends of those channel swings and we threw a jig up on it, we would at least get a bite. Not necessarily a quality bite, but we definitely catch some fish doing that. back out on the main lake on on the White River around Shell Knob. Caught a few on the Kitech 2.8, especially around brush. When we started the day, we had no wind, so we weren't getting bit on the A-rig. So switched that up, started throwing a Kitech 2.8 around brush piles, around standing timber. Again, catching fish doing that, catching some decent quality doing that as well. Then when the wind came up in the afternoon, we switched things up. We threw an A-rig, caught them on an A-rig, around brush, around standing timber. Wood is incredibly important right now. And then we hit some channel swing banks further up the White, up around Big M, some of those ends of those channel swings banks, and threw a crankbait and caught several fish doing that as well. Mostly on a wiggle wart or a rock crawler, less than 10 feet deep, banging into a stump, banging into a rock, and we would get bites doing that. The guy I was with threw a jerkbait a little bit. He had 2 or 3 on a jerkbait as well, but to be honest with you, we weren't really looking for jerkbait fish. We were looking for, you know, a little bit different bite, something we could either do a little bit faster, or once the wind came up, we could do a little bit better. It seems like there is a decent jerkbait bite on the lake right now, but it does not seem like you're catching the quality on a jerkbait. It seems like you catch a lot of shorts, a lot of 13 to 16 inch fish on a jerkbait, whereas if you throw a crankbait, you throw an A-rig, you throw a swim bait, you're getting better bites on the lake right now. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but that seems to be the case. Could change tomorrow. Don't know. Guys, again, sorry about the break. Sorry we were about 5-6 weeks without a report. I'm going to be more consistent going forward. I do thank you guys for being Table Rock Fishing Intel members. App news, if you've made it this long, I'll tell you the app news. Google has 100%, or Android has 100% approved the app. We're still fighting with Apple right now to get the app done. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go with that. We may just introduce it on Android first and then try to work our way through the stuff that Apple wants, but the app is certainly coming. As a Pro member, you'll have full access to the app, and it's really cool. If you guys use your phone with the website, wait till you see the app. It'll absolutely blow your mind. But again, thanks for being Table Rock Fishing Intel members. Really do appreciate that. If you are looking to hire a guide, though, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com. Shoot me an email, book online. Either way, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks again for being Pro members. Thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for not shooting me for not doing a video for 5 weeks. But thanks again. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.